Hey, this is Perry with Premier Guitar. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee at the Ryman Auditorium with Death Cab for Cutie. I'm here with Nick Harmer playing some bass. He's going to show us all his awesome gear on this tour.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I love that you've done some simplification, and we'll show everybody here in a second. But
yeah,
I guess we'll start with
the bass. This has been my #1 for about 8 years now. It's just a this exact bass. Recorded a lot of, let's see, I guess Codes and Keys, almost all of Codes and Keys, and just showed up a lot in Kintsugi as well. But it's been my live #1 for forever. It's a Lakeland bass. Some people say Lackland, but it is Lakeland.
Got the hard A.
It's got the, you see it? Yeah. So these are hand built, or they were hand built in Chicago. The company's since been, it still exists, but it's been sort of exchanged hands. At the time that I picked these up, they were just making really good quality P copies.
Yeah.
So that's basically all this is just a P copy. I really like the tailpiece in it. I think it's solid, connects great. I replace all my basses with Lawler pickups.
Oh, cool.
They're the sort of overwound Lawlers.
A little hotter?
A little hotter, and those sound really great. No other modifications. It's all pretty much stock. Tone, volume, that's it.
Can't beat that.
Unfinished neck if I can get it.
So nice
it's
and
all
smooth?
Yeah, totally.
You didn't sand it? It just came like that?
No, it was kind of raw in the beginning, but this is, years of sweat. It's just, for whatever reason, this one just keeps my love and my attention. I don't know why.
Feels like home?
It just feels like home. I mean, and I essentially play 3 of the same versions of this. At the time they were making Bob Glob signature models, and so it's I think it's their 4464 is what they call it now, but it's just a P copy, straight down the line. Pretty straightforward. And again, all Lawlers. Everything is pretty much set to same, except my second bass. I call this one my K bass because it was sort of named after my wife for a while. Well, still my wife, but there was a sticker you can kind of see. I put her sticker on it. It kind of faded a long time ago, but this is tuned up, basically a step up, straight down the line. So E to F, all the sharps, and I play this on one track.
Just one
on Grapevine Fires, just so I can have a nice.
Is that because it's in a strange tuning? Or?
Yeah, just because I can have like big open string rings, just let the whole notes just last as long as possible. Yeah. So that works out really well. And then I've got another. Obviously, I don't need to have the pick in my mouth while I'm doing this interview, but this is just a copy of this.
It's beautiful. I love that you can see the.
Yeah, you kind of see the grain through the white. Yeah, when Mike Lakeland, when he sent this, all I said was like, I just want a black on black and a white on black. And then when he sent this, I didn't realize that it had that kind of see-through. I love it. It's great. I mean, another one, I used to keep this one strung up with flat wound and just give me some variation in the set if I felt like a song, I was feeling like needed the flat wound thing at the time. But over time, I just sort of started carrying less basses on the road, and now I just need a true backup in case, break a string or some catastrophic failure happens with this guy.
Killer. So are you guys, how many different tunings are you running a night?
I am in standard on everything except Soul Meets Body. I have tune up to F just on the E string, and then Grapevine Fires where the whole bass is a step up. So
that's not too much dancing around.
Not for me, and that means it makes it so I don't actually have a bass tech. We have just a stage right guitar tech who services Ben and me at the same time, and I think just
makes life
because
a little easier.
Well, I mean, it's easier for him because I don't have to swap out song by song, and I mean, my only real requirement is I just like to have fresh strings on at the top of every set.
Brand new strings every day.
Brand new strings every day.
Cool.
That's it. I sweat a lot when I play.
So deaden them out pretty good.
So yeah, by the end of I can hear it roll off even by the end of a set. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Just the highs?
Yeah. And the sustain. It just slowly gets a little thumpier as the show goes on. And
it's crazy that you can hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I something about a lot of the way that we've sort of front load our sets. We like to come out kind of strong, and the first third of our sets are usually kind of a lot of up-tempo, high-energy stuff. So having that real bright attack, like fresh string thing is great. And then by the, as the set kind of mellows out as it goes on, so does the bass, and it kind of just fits in perfectly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you plan the set that way, or did it just kind of happen like that?
It's just sort of happened that way. Yeah, I mean, I would probably switch out if we ended up if I needed some of that bright attack later. But I mean, I play the Deed Arios 50 to 105s. Pretty straightforward.
Cool.
I use sharps as picks.
Oh, look at that thing. You could kill somebody with
Yep,
that.
I know.
I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll try to get a still photo for you, but it looks like almost like a little mandolin pick.
Yeah.
Why do you like that? Because it slides off the string a little easier?
Yeah, I don't know. I am a pretty physical player when I get kind of amped up. So
Are you
when
always playing with picks? Or?
For the most part, there's a couple songs that I have fingers on these days, but most part it's all pick and palms and that kind of stuff. And this particular sharp pick is actually, of all of the gear that I've played the longest,
That's the one.
this is the one.
That's funny. Yeah.
Of all of the things I've had in my chain, I guess maybe the Boss tuner has been in there from the very beginning as well.
Kind of a mainstay.
Yeah, well,
makes everybody sound better.
Well, yeah, and we can get to the pedals in just a little bit. I think there are a lot of debates about the precision of the Boss stage tuner.
Oh, yeah.
But we're all on it, so I feel like
if everybody's off, you're kind of off together.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I feel like as long as that's the only sort of like I guess that's the best thing you can hope for is if everyone in the band is on the exact same tuner. So we just had to make an agreement that we'll all just be on the same tuner, and then that way, if those tuners are a little wobbly, then we'll all be a little wobbly together.
By 3 tuners at a time, and everybody's good, right?
Everybody's good, yeah.
Well, I know you guys at home can't see this right now because the amps are kind of hidden in the back line, but I got some still photos and we can show you guys, but could you walk us through, maybe just talk about the amps you're playing right now?
Yeah, so for a long time, it took me forever to kind of dial in where I could find a bass head that I really love. I toured with, I did the Ampeg, SVT and the 810 and the 410, and that was like just the bulletproof thing for a long time. But it's real brittle and just a lot of bark in that, and I wanted something a little mellower, something that had kind of a rounder softness to it. And right about that time, somebody kept recommending Ashdown stuff, and I thought, I'll try it out. I didn't really want to go to a solid state amp, but just because I'd also had them feeling real cold and kind of brittle. A lot of the solid state stuff that I'd tried out up until that point didn't really sound inviting enough. But I gotta be honest, the minute I plugged in the Ashdown, set everything to 12 noon, I was like, that's how I hear bass. That's what I want.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, it's a solid state power amp, obviously, but does it have like a tube pre in it to kind of warm it up?
It does. It has a tube pre and solid state power. I mean, it's the ABM 500. They make 2 versions. There's like the ABM 900, which is essentially 2 of those next to each other just to kind of run. I mean, most guys, like big, heavy rock guys, are going to run, 2 cabinets, like 2 810s out of that 900. It's just too much headroom for me. I don't need it.
That's a lot of headroom.
And I really like kind of pushing it a little bit more. But both of these 500s, I mean, the one on top, I have 2 of them. One is a backup.
One's just a backup.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and they're exactly the same settings. The one on top has actually been through a stage collapse in Ottawa.
Did anybody get hurt?
Well, not on us. So we're supposed to play right after Cheap Trick, and they were finishing their set when the windstorm came in and collapsed on Cheap Trick.
Oh,
and
right. I remember hearing about that.
But all of our backline was sort of on deck, ready to go, and so all of our stuff got buried underneath the pile of rubble, and then rained on for weeks while they were peeling it off slowly for the insurance investigation. But when I got it back, I mean, if there's one thing I can say about the Ashdown stuff, I mean, I've traveled the world with both of these heads, and I've had, I'm gonna knock on wood, I guess here and here, very minimal repair needs with them. They're really
That's
really
kind
solid.
of mind blowing.
Yeah. So I mean, that to me is, with as many shows as we play and as much as we travel, like reliability trumps like sweet tone every time. And I mean, I track with a whole bunch of different stuff in studios and get a lot of the character and tone for the records. But
plus, I mean, you have a front of house guy that can really dial it in for you.
Exactly.
And nail
exactly.
It. Yeah.
So I don't spend too much time doing that. And then I use the Summit TD. I think it's TD100. Yeah, the TD100 is a direct box.
Just a
split
rack-mountable DI.
Yep, that's exactly it. Really straightforward, super simple.
That's easy. Well, hey, man, let's take a look at some of your pedals.
That sounds great.
All right, Nick, this is a pretty simple setup. You've kind of stripped it down a little bit, right?
Embarrassingly, I guess I don't know. I get intimidated. I always feel the pressure to build a big pedal board because there are just so many cool options in the world. But, when I started this tour, I had 3 other pedals in the chain that I've now removed, 4 other pedals in the chain that I've now removed. I originally had started running into a super hard-on, into a Pigtronics, ZVEX super hard-on, into a Pigtronics bass philosopher compressor, into a bass tube screamer, Ibanez tube screamer, into a JHS color box, into the reverb, into a stereo chorus, into the delay, and out. And as we just got going on tour here and started dialing in tones with front of house and sort of in the rooms that we're in, it became pretty clear that I didn't need the compressor. Super Hard-On was adding just a little too much grit that I was getting out.
Why
out of
no compression? Are they adding it?
They're adding it front of house.
Cool.
So
Gotcha.
just was kind of redundant for me to send it twice.
Sure.
Made it too squishy. And I was adding kind of some false sustain in some places,
Right.
some frequencies that weren't.
Singy a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, I always default to the front of house guy. You know, like he
knows what he's hearing.
He knows what he's hearing. I can work with, you know, our monitor woman Christina, and she can make it sound great to me, and he can make it sound great at front of house. And if those things don't have to sound exactly the same, you know.
Totally.
So now I'm down to just into the tuner. I cycled through a ton of boutique distortions, trying to find the right thing for this band. Like just a couple of the new songs have some particular moments where the distortion steps out in front a little bit. And I was kind of having a hard time sitting in with where the guitar's distortions are kind of sitting. So I went through a bunch of boutique things, and then the Rat came up in conversation again, and I plugged it in just on a whim, kind of half expecting it not to work, and it's
Boom.
Amazing.
Found your sonic space.
Yeah, and it's great, and I just, it's one of those, it's a real musical distortion pedal. It's one of those things that, you know, there is a lot of options in the world, but sometimes you just kind of find an answer in something.
What works.
Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with the Deuce Tone. Is this like a 2-channel?
It's essentially two independent Rats.
Okay.
And you can dial in like vintage,
So you
turbo.
Gotcha. It's got some switches.
Yeah, it's got some switches, and you can run it stereo. So like if you're a keyboard player and you're in big stereo out, I run it just in cascade mode. So you're in, and this is just basically they stack.
So you can do like a rhythm and then a lead or
yeah,
something.
Totally.
Yeah,
So I just have a slightly two different distortions in, one for like the new year and stuff that's kind of more fuzz and real low end and kind of growly, and then one that's a little higher and bitey, kind of more of a lead distortion, I guess, for like Beverly Drive and Doors Unlocked and Open. That goes into the Fender Reverb pedal that I use on one track.
What track are you using?
I use it on, actually I use it on a couple places just for effect.
Just
it's
a little taste.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's a weird sort of color to splash in now and again, and it's dialed up pretty high for a bass guitar. It sounds kind of
I was gonna say, the tone is
wet.
almost cranked in it.
Yeah.
So it's giving you a real washy kind of thing?
Yeah, it's really, I like the wetness of it, and
Yeah,
it just really like kind of, yeah, it just makes everything kind of squishy. Yeah.
Beautiful, yeah.
And then delay I use in conjunction, obviously, with the distortion to just do big volume swells, and you know, I've got that. It's nothing, no tapped out, no tempo stuff. It's really just set it as long as I can.
Yeah, see, you got the delay level real long.
Real long. So it's just, I just basically roll in, you know, kind of just swells that kind of fill in the floor in certain places. So, and that's it. I mean, really, it's very straightforward.
And then just the Fender 215 cab, right?
Yep, and then, yeah, and the 15 side. So that was the other thing. For years, I was trying out the 810s and, you know, 410s and 610s, and the 10 thing was like just what I could get my hands on. And then it just was so barky and so
high-end,
small,
like,
yeah, a little high end, that I just wanted something a little softer. Again, I like a speaker compression. I'm a pretty physical player, so
15s just work better, huh?
Yep, 15s
a little
just work
softer.
Better. Yeah, exactly. So that's just been my rig for years now. I haven't really attempted to shift it.
Amazing.
In fact, I tried to add pedals this time and ended up subtracting back. So I think I've kind of found my thing.
Yeah, this works, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Definitely.
We're going to grab Ben. See you guys in a second. All right, we're here with Ben now, and he's going to walk us through some gear. They have to sound check, so we're going to try to scoot through it, but we'll try to get to everything. Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem.
I guess we'll start with guitars. Is this your number one?
Yeah, this is a fairly new guitar for me, but it's an old Fender Mustang. I kind of stumbled across these a couple of years ago, where, you know, I never played them before, but I like the 3/4 kind of size. The neck is kind of good for me because I have short fingers, so it kind of makes me kind of play the way I kind of played when I first started playing guitar, which is I like. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so I really like these. So I'm just playing these exclusively on this tour.
And so this is pretty much the exact same electronics and everything?
Yeah, everything's the same. Yeah, I mean, you know, we wired out the switches because I always hit them, or I sweat in them, and then we took out the tone knob because it's kind of pointless.
Gotcha.
And just wired it kind of right in the middle. So
are these stock pickups, or is this something?
Yeah, everything's stock on them, but we took out the, you know, obviously took out the switchers and just wired it to be right kind of in the middle, and then all we have is a volume knob.
Cool.
Because the tone knob, you kind of hit it. And
so when you dial up the volume, it's both pickups at the same time?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's just kind of set for stun. And then as far as the amps go, this is a custom amp that was made by my guitar tech, Jesse Quitslund, and it's called the Acme Silvertones. You can see, and you know, he basically used like the same circuit for like a Sears Twin 12 but made
kind of made it solid.
Yeah, made like a point-to-point Class A style
cool.
kind of wired.
Change out the
version of
filter
that.
caps and all that stuff.
Yeah,
make it
exactly. So
roadworthy.
Yeah,
Sure.
so it sounds really, really nice, and we have a backup here in case.
So this is just
in
a
case
backup.
something
And
comes down.
then this is a 212 or is this?
I believe it's a 210.
210?
I think it's a 210. Yeah.
Cool. Is it
210 cab.
Dr. Z cab?
Dr. Z cab.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's the rig as far as the guitar goes.
Cool. Well, let's take a look at some
yeah.
pedals.
Okay, sounds cool.
All right, Ben. Let's. You got some cool stuff going on here. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly simple setup. I don't really need a lot of effects per se, although it might look like a lot. The super duper hard on, which is what this pedal is basically a boost, a gain boost to kind of give the Mustangs a little bit of like
little juice,
little
yeah.
teeth, yeah, because the pickups and those things are fairly quiet.
Sure.
So, and this is just this is such a great pedal. I recommend one to any guitar player. Just because you can take whatever the amp sounds like and just give it, just give it a little more kind of gas if you need be. And this one, as you can see, is a 2-in-1. So we have I use the side on the right for the electric guitar, and there's a couple songs I play acoustic through the amp, and then I use the red side for that. So that gives a little bit of gain, but doesn't
distort.
Yeah, it
and
doesn't
stuff.
distort or feedback.
So this Box of Rocks is also a boost, right?
Yeah, this stays on all the time. The yellow side, when I'm playing electric guitar, the yellow side stays on all the time. And then, this is, the red side is kind of the big distortion. And then, the yellow side is if I'm doing like a little lead line thing that just needs a little bit of a boost.
Gotcha.
And every once in a while, both will go on for something like, you can hear it.
Is it more like a clean boost and then a little bit of a distortion?
Well, they're both distortions. They're both separate
they are.
distortions.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're slightly different. So there are some songs that I'll use both of them on, but usually it's just the end of a set when it's kind of we want to kind of feedback and get crazy.
Yeah.
And then for delay, I'm using the Eventide time factor. I've got 3 or 4 different settings in there. These are great because you can kind of store the settings elsewhere on a computer and then put them on a new pedal. And these ones have been fairly bulletproof for me since I've been
a lot of people are using those now. So you create presets that you're going to use live and then just put them in there.
Exactly, yeah. And then
awesome.
they're good to go. And I used another similar kind of modeler for a long time, which will go nameless, that I had to buy like 12 of them. They always broke. So I finally went to the Eventide. Never been happier. And I've also never been happier since I went to the Space Reverb pedal too. And I've got 2 reverbs in there. One that's kind of bigger and washier, and then one that's a little bit tighter. And then over here, I've just got tuners, obviously, and then the chorus and the pog are all going through this channel here. And there's some new songs that I have chorus on. I've never had one before. The pog kind of gets used just for a couple kind of octave songs, but yeah. And then using this Voodoo Labs pedal switcher has been really helpful
Handy,
as well.
right?
Yeah. So if I have the distortion on over here, instead of having to navigate these 2 clickers that are fairly close to each other, I can just turn it
Labeled
off.
out.
Yeah, turn it on and off over here. Same with the reverb, so that I'm not constantly just having to go to these small clickers. And these are all just right there for me. So
cool, very simple. And
Yeah,
I've
pretty
never
simple.
seen one of those. Is this just like a guitar DI or what is?
I think this is something that Jesse put in here. I think this is just a way to get these pedals are so close together.
Oh, I see.
I think that we needed to kind of get it. Yeah, because this is going. Actually, I haven't. Yeah, this is going out from here. Because this is on. This is on its own. This is not on. This distortion is on this distortion channel, but this is freestanding.
Gotcha.
So we need to kind of have it go directly out to the guitar.
Wow, that's great stuff. Well,
Absolutely.
hey man, we really appreciate you taking the time to
absolutely,
talk
man.
to us.
Thank you for talking to me.
Yeah,
It's
no
been fun.
sweat. Actually, before we leave, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Is this is just for vocal stuff?
Yeah, so this, I have a couple songs that I'm using, like either, I'm using vocal loops on that I'm making and then kind of just triggering with my foot, or a couple songs that have a set delay in the vocal.
Just for the vocal.
Yeah.
Does the 14 seconds ever bother you? Because it's only like a 14-second loop, right?
No, because it's only like a section of this
Little
song
parts of-
called "You Are a Tourist." It goes, "This fire goes higher," and I need to kind of.
And that's what you use that for?
Yeah, so it's only about that long.
Did you record that with that as well, or is that something they did?
No,
in the studio?
we did that just like in a proper
Sure.
kind of studio.
Well, it's cool that's a nice, convenient.
Yeah, and it works more times than not. So the only times it doesn't work is when I just don't trigger it properly. So
Cool.
it's been fairly bulletproof for me as well.
Well, again, thanks so much,
Of course, man. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
You guys, we'll catch you next time.
Don't forget to sign up for PG Perks, your all-access pass to exclusive gear giveaways and discounts on PremierGuitar.com.